Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow bringing you guys another video. Another playtest with my buddy Espen here. You're going to see a bunch of misplays, but again, we're just kind of prepping ourselves for Peoria. So I believe I won and I chose to go first. So I'm going to open up with Stage and pitch Burgess. And as I always say, Kuzan makes it a lot more easier to pitch because now we are able to grab from the trash, where last meta, I typically wasn't going to pitch Burgess at all, trying to hold on to it. But now I will pitch it. So I end up grabbing a Lafitte, and you do see Espen here is opening up with a Bonney search here, and is going to use the search. So now instead of swinging at life, I am going to swing at the Bonney searcher right away. It's going to act like a pseudo blocker for Bonney, just like Lafitte is for me. I am also going to set up a dot Q. Dot Q is like a hit or miss. It's either gonna work or it's not. I do just like to set it up just in case, but sometimes it just sits there. And then I use a My Era Begins and absolutely just whiff the entire thing, which sucks. Very rarely does that card miss, but it does sometimes. And then I stage search and find a Kuzan, and that Kuzan is gonna be what I use to bring back Burgess later in the game, or a Van Auger. Very dependent on what I actually need, but it does open up a lot of plays for me, even a Vasco shot if I absolutely need it. And again, this is where we're playtesting. I was about to pitch for ability, and I realized he's only gonna go to 4 Don. There's no point in pitching, especially in Bonney. You're only really gonna pitch on maybe the 5 Don turn, so that you don't let them get a Cavendish extended play or a carrot. But really, that doesn't even really matter. You really want to pitch once you're pretty much have a board established to avoid a Hody Jones, or when you have your 10 drop and you're able to establish a 9 drop shank. So there's a lot to consider when pitching. He's just gonna Don and pass. So then again, that just goes to show you that the pitch that I would have been completely useless on even trying to do anything. So good thing we're playtesting, because at a bigger event, that would not have slid. My pitch would have just still went to the trash. Obviously, you don't want to let your opponent get that many freebies. Or, I mean, at a big regional event, you don't want to give those out at all, to be honest. I am going to use a double Lafitte here. Lafitte finds Lafitte, and my other one finds a My Era Begins, which is going to allow me to search again. So I do swing 5. He is able to use leader ability and rest the dot Q, but really no point in resting it, to be fair. I do have Lafitte's at this point that you're going to want to get rid of. And use that My Era Begins to grab the Kuzan again, which at this point I'm pretty much setting up my trash very nicely here. And I also pitch an Auger just in case I need it. Again, the Auger can be grabbed by a Kuzan, so very good. And then I also draw too, so Kuzan is absolutely busted. So currently I have 10 cards in the trash. When I set up Burgess, it will be a 7k, almost to an 8. Nothing to worry about. And then here, I believe he's finally on just his 6 Don turn, so he does swing at one of the Lafittes, which is fine. And I believe he's going to establish a carrot here to stun my other Lafitte. And again, we're practicing, so there's no point in swinging 6. So he takes it back, leaves it for the 1 Don for leader ability, which is the correct thing to do. No point in over swinging and then losing out on your leader ability here. So establishing that carrot, but I do have the answer to that, and I have the Laboon with the dot Q to be able to knock it, which is why I wanted to set up that dot Q. I feel like there's a lot of 5 costs in the meta, so I feel like running Laboon is useful. I've seen lists not running it. I do like to have it on in case of those one-offs. Being able to remove the bodies is what I want to do. And then it's a good pseudo blocker as well. I have seen lists where they don't run it at all and you have to set up stronger, which is cool. But then I feel like I'm just going down in hand size a little too much. Although stronger will replace 1 card, I'm still down 2 compared to Laboon, and then Laboon's a pseudo blocker for me. And then again here, here we are looking at the board. I decide to not pitch for the ability. I know I just pitched the Kuzan, but I am going to take it back because, again, no point in using leader ability here because everything on my board is rested. So even if he uses a Hody Jones, he's going to take his own life, not be able to rest anything, and is still going to have to rush. Even if I pitch the ability, it will have rush. So no matter what, Hody will rush me down. It's just a matter of if he's going to take his own life or not. So I decided to not pitch. Anything else that he could do at this point is probably just going to be an 8-cost kid, which isn't worth it because you wouldn't be able to use his ability for the 1 Dawn attachment. So I figured the best thing to do is just let it go, or without using ability. So here comes the Hody Jones, and you see he does take a life since I did not use my on play. So that's something to consider. Laboon is going to go here, which is unfortunate. If it would have stuck around a little bit, would have been a little better. But we're still sitting at 5 life. We're pretty good here. And at this point, setup is going to start happening for next turn. Since next turn is going to be my 10 drop turn, I need to be able to establish the Burgess on the field. And you do see I put a Burgess at the top because I am going to use one of the Kuzan since I did have 2. And I also find a 10 drop, which is what I'm going to need for when he establishes his Eustace Captain Kidd. And then here he uses leader ability on the dot Q, which is perfectly fine. I'm not going to be removing anything this turn, especially since I would need an auger and like a finger pistol, or a black hole could have. But at this point, we're just going to be setting up aggression for next turn. So you do see the Kuzan playing out the Burgess from trash, drawing a card as well. And then I'm going to play out a Burgess from hand. So the Burgess should be a 8k with 1 card before it turns into 9, which will happen right now because I am going to use my leader ability to not allow him any on plays, because at this point I don't want him to use a Hody Jones and potentially just try to swing big into the Burgess, because now hand size is really going to matter here for Blackbeard. So I leave him at a 9k. I believe I have 4 cards in hand. 10 Dawn turn for the Bonney, so basically going to expect more than likely a kid with the leader ability playing out a blocker like Rosinante or Tashigi. I have seen the Tashigi make rounds. He is here, however, going to swing at the dot Q, which is perfectly fine for me, but in actuality, he should have just left it. The dot Q wasn't really going to do much at this point because not being at 10, I'm going to just start playing the 10 drop out, and that dot Q is just going to sit there as a body. So it was only good for that 1 turn, for that carrot turn. Other than that, it's just kind of going to sit there. So he did me a favor by actually swinging into me so I can get that draw and filling up the trash for Burgess. So, and this is what I mean. Just going to consistently play the 10 drops here. Maybe he was trying to play around me potentially popping the Rosinante, but dot Q can only KO 1 cost. So 1 cost or less. So now here he was about to use his leader ability, and then I reminded him that he's unable to, since I did just use the 10 drop effect on leader and the teach or kid. So now I'm just basically setting up Burgess, finding another 10 drop from the search as well, and then gonna pitch a finger pistol. So I did have the answer to Hody last turn, but it's just better for the setup. Me being at as much life as I was, in a really good spot here. And then now I'm just swinging, looks like 9s to face here. Takes 1, it's going to give me the Rosinante here. I'm ignoring the kid mainly because he could have probably easily countered out and saved, the Hody. However, as long as the blocker goes, I'm in a pretty good spot because Burgess can just swing to face. And as you saw, I'll take the blocker. And I'll be good this turn because he will not be able to swing into the Burgess with the kid since it is nullified by my 10 drop. So he really only has 1 character swing this turn unless he plays out another Hody Jones. And not having any on plays, he won't be able to arrest my 10 drop as well. So I'm pretty much good for a turn for the most part. I can also take a swing too. Being at 4 life, I could use the cards. And there's my infamous little Blackbeard Lego set to be able to show what is nullified on the field. Just for a reminder. It's already broken in my bag. So and in here, he is going to swing big at one of the Burgess. So I'm just going to block and give him a 2K there. So now Burgess is now I believe a 10K now. Yep, 10K Burgess. So my field is just looking absolutely disgusting. And again, he tries to play out the carrot, but there is no on play since I did pitch. So let him take it back and see what else he can do this turn. And he opts to play a smoker with Banish, which end of turn will allow him to restand one Don with that smoker ability. He can use it at any point, not just end of turn. Let's just say he has a Cavendish. He's got to sequence it right. And here I am going to just chain the 10 drops here, choosing to do the kid again, since it's going to be the most viable one for him. And I'm just swinging 5 with lead. Gives me a 1K there. End up finding Liberation off search, and I'm just going to pitch it right away for leader ability, so he won't be able to use like a Shanks at this point. And then now I'm going to pressure the Hody Jones here. I believe just a 10K swing, so it's still going to require him to have to give me at least 2 cards since Hody's a 7-8. So then being able to clear that Hody, now I'm going to swing the face with no issues, leaving myself with 2 10 drops so that if he decides to swing, you know, a rush Hody, I have 2 blocks if I necessarily need it. And at this point, you know, Bonney's in a pretty rough spot here. Me establishing 2 10 drops, keeping this kid under control, which is what they want to use to be able to, you know, kind of hide behind a wall. I take that away from them. Even if they establish a second kid, I would choose the one that has the Don on it. And then here he decides to swing at Burgess, which I believe was at a 10K here. So at this point, I know I'm going to go for game next turn. I think I have another 10 drop in hand. I'm going to just pitch to save it. I believe I give him 2 2Ks. And then with his ability, gives him an extra 1K. So he is able to get out of it. So I end up giving him a 15K to get out. So really good there for me. He establishes a blocker. And at this point, I'm just going to play out a 10 drop and choose the Barto blocker because the kid isn't going to do nothing. Gets rid of his block so that I can get around it. Yeah, see, I was going to choose kid, but I choose the blocker. So what's the point of choosing kid? And I'm just going to go lethal 5 and then Burgess. Swing, Burgess, and then the 10 drop for the final hit. I do use stage ability to just kind of beef up trash, but it didn't matter. Wasn't going to reach it. But that is game. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys thought of the match, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.